Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I will be diving into another fantastic machine on the Vulnhub, which is Hacksudo 1. The link will be put in the video below so that you can download and play on your own. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. So now let's get started. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate many very useful techniques, such as not only I demonstrate to use Metasploit framework to exploit Tomcat Manager, and also I'd like to show you how to manually exploit this Tomcat Manager. Anyway, now we can head over to Kali Linux to begin with. First of all, we need to discover the IP address of the target. The utility I'd like to use, as always, would be net discover. Press enter. So as you can see over here, the IP address of the target could be recognized as 196. So what are we going to do next? We need to perform port and surface scanning with a map. To save time of this video, I've already completed before, so now we can get out its results. As you can see over here, I took the options like scene scan, the default script scan, the virtual scan, and then -p- to do the full range port scan. The last option for all is ON to output the result into this file. So then we can retrieve results whenever from this file. And by the scanning results, we can tell that the target has 1, 2, 3 open ports in total. Let's take a look at them one by one. The first one is 80, which is running HTTP service, and also the version information Apache 2. And the second one is 42, which is running SSH service, and also the version information, and including its corresponding version number. I don't think we can find any exploit for this particular version. And last one is 8080, which is running Apache Tomcat line. So what shall we do next? We need to conduct enumeration for these two web applications, both manually and automatically. Here I'm talking about using some kinds of utilities or commands to conduct automatic enumeration. So now let's fire up the browser to do the manual enumeration first with the first application, which is running on the port number 80 or default port number by HTTP service. Put the IP address of the target into the address bar, press enter. So here we got some kinds of login page and sign up form, and also we can check its source code. So session, username, and we find this page we can copy. So we get this information from the source code. The IP address is 196. So the port 80 HTTP port SSH port 8080 HTTP. Okay. So here session start is set or check whether session has key username. If has this key, we'll head over to this location, and we can scroll down and get a file. It's a set a file. So I think maybe include the file. So I think this should be, you know, so I think we can utilize the file to test whether the application is vulnerable to local file inclusion vulnerability. Okay, so we can put over here as well. Scroll down. So nothing else. Before we try to exploit or enumerate these two discoveries, one web page and one parameter, I'd like to check whether this site has Gobuster file or not. Not found. Next, we can launch the Nicto to conduct automatic enumeration. Nicto can give us a lot of information about the web application. We find this page at the min PHP. Great. So now, also, I think CSS, HTML, config. So how about this file? We can copy and access this configuration file. I think this should be a query statement of my circle. Interesting. Service tags, connection error. Nothing else. So next, we can launch the Gobuster to perform directory enumeration. We can change the IP address from 5 to 6 and hit enter. A lot of pages have been discovered by, by this Gobuster utility. We find this one, info. So now we can have a look at this info text. Oh, database name, online, tables, user accounts. Even, we can get the credentials for this web application. Fantastic. So now I think we can use this credential to log in. So now we can go back to the home page. So before we try to, as try to test like a weak credential or, like a login bypass technique, we need to complete the, enumeration first. Okay. So as you can see over here, we have already got the, the credentials information. Oh, sorry. So now we can use this username or email and password to log in. Let me in. Although no error comes back from the target machine, but we just get some, wrong password. But it looks like there is something wrong with this web application. I think the reason is that the code is not properly written. Okay, so now anyway, let's go back to the terminal window. I don't think we can find any very useful vector from this application which is running on the port number 80. Now I think it's time to enumerate the second web application, because this is Tomcat, and here we have the Manager App. I've already demonstrated on how to exploit the Tomcat Manager application. So without any hesitation, we can try to use the default username and password. Even if this doesn't work, as you know, Metasploit has one module, auxiliary module, which can conduct enumeration, or maybe to some extent the brute forcing, although the built-in word list is small. Okay, so now we can try to use default username and password Tomcat as well. Sign in. It does work. Fantastic. So now I think because here we can deploy the WAR file. WAR file is something like a zip file. The package of the, Java file or JSP file for the, Java application, Java file for the web application. So, we can take two ways to, to exploit this Tomcat Manager. The first way, exploiting Tomcat Manager. The first way is utilize the Metasploit framework. And secondly, we can manually exploiting. Okay, and I will showcase both approaches for you. So now let's bring up the terminal window and launch the Metasploit console with quiet option -q or -q. So this will not display or print out banner. Okay, so now we can search exploit, since we cannot memorize everything, right? So we can utilize the built-in function of this, framework or any utility exploit. And because we are looking for something which is related to Tomcat, okay, so we can hit enter, and now we can find the module what we want. We want to upload web shell to the target application or Tomcat Manager application. Yeah, I think this one is what we want. We can copy this relative path, and then we can use command use and hit enter. We can leave the payload to default one, and we can show options. We need to set local host to our Kali Linux and set local port number to 555. And also we need to set remote host to our target. And also we need to set remote port number. Of course, in our case, the port number is not 80. Set report number to 8080. And the target URI, Universal Resource Identifier, we do not need to change. So we can leave this default value. However, also we need to set the basic authentication credential, set HTTP username, Tomcat, password, Tomcat as well. And now we simply run command or exploit, whatever. You can use any of these two commands, but I like to use run. As you can see, the Metasploit session 1 opened. Fantastic. It means that we have already got the shell or got the foothold on the target, and you can run command like pwd. You can get a user ID, something like that. And usually we need to get its shell or interactive shell, so we can run command shell. As you can see, channel 1 created. And also this one is not still good. We can use the Python to spawn a better shell. Python 2 is not available, so Python 3 import pty module, pty spawn, and bash. Okay, so now it's better. And also I think we can export a term variable or environment term variable. So then let me term color. So then we can clear the screen whenever. Okay, clear the screen. We we can get bigger space on the window. So now we can go to the home directory to gather more information. So the two normal users, maybe clear again. So go to the first one, Hacksudo. Maybe we can copy this username and paste to our notebook. The username and so bash history. So get manager. We don't know. Get, what's this? Level 3. User. I think I'd like to go back and go to the visual. And we get the flag. We can get the flag. Great, level 2. So where is the first flag? And also SSH, but permission denied. And we need to run ID. Normally Tomcat cannot run sudo, but anyway we can try it. So we try 3 attempts. Now we can navigate across major locations or directories like opt, Tomcat. So I think this should be a web application running this manager and other applications. So now we can go to the var, go to backups. If you have already followed my channel, you know what I'm doing is following my personal methodology. There is another or interesting directory, Hacksudo, and log. So I love Steganography. I think this message is clearly giving us the hint. Maybe we can find interesting information from by using the technique of Steganography. Okay, and also here the 2 files, the Hacksudo zip and also the picture. So I think we can download this picture to our Linux for further analysis. So how to download? Of course, we can use, Netcat, or we can set up the, web server of Python. But I've already demonstrated such techniques before. But here, I'm going to use built-in download function of a Metasploit framework. So why I said the Metasploit is so powerful, we can background this shell by pressing keys Control and Z. Okay, so now we can print out a working directory. I'd like to navigate to the var and backups directory, backups, and go to the Hacksudo directory, and we can download. We can directly use the command download and visual. Press enter. So now we can switch to another tab to analyze this picture. So now we can use stack height, extract, visual, but we do not have passphrase yet. How about also we can use exif2. So all metadata of this image can be retrieved by this command, exif2. Next, I'd like to run stack-seek. Press enter. Successfully extract this file from the image. Beautiful. We can cut out this file. And it looks like this message is encoded by ROT13. We can copy and go to the CyberChef to decode. Okay, so we can get the user and also the password unfortunately, the password is encrypted. We can copy. So first of all, I'd like to check its hash type. We can use hash identifier, and so we can know possibly the hash type is SHA 512. Of course, you can use online service to crack this hash, but I'm going to use the John the Ripper to crack it. Hashes, and we can use John the Ripper word list hashes. John the Ripper can go through all possible hash types to try to crack it, but as you can see, failed to crack it at all. So how to do? Sometimes we need to explicitly specify its type with option of format, the raw SHA 512. If you don't know what's the exact name or the value of our hash type in the context of John the Ripper, as you know, different utilities will use different name, okay, or different name or different value for specifying the hash type. If you want to know how to do, you can use the Google to make some research. But for me, I always use the built-in function of the utility like John the Ripper. List formats. We can use this command to because the John the Ripper itself can support so many types. So this would be difficult to find what we want, right? So we can use this grep, and we can grep twice, and then we can the scope or output would be much smaller. So I think this one is what we want. Okay, so now we can press enter because I've already conducted such cracking earlier, and John the Ripper is intelligent, or maybe not intelligent, has cache. So to display cached or cracked password, we need to use the show option. Okay, oh no, so John show and hashes, but we need to specify the format itself. Otherwise, the password cannot be displayed as we expected. Okay, so now the password, of course, the password itself is very simple. So now we can, we can SSH to the target, because we have already got the password and the username hacker. But before we proceed, I'd like to show you to take manual approach to get a foothold on the target. So now let me exit from the Metasploit framework. Now I'd like to manually exploit this, Tomcat Manager. We can set up the listener first, waiting for collection from the target. Next, we need to manually, sorry about this, you can ignore this one. This is my history file. We can deploy the WAR file manually. So how to do? We need to create the payload first with Msfvenom. Let me write it down, Msfvenom. This one can create so many different types of payload for us very easily with command line. And although you can use online service which can provide such function as well, generate the payload. But I think for pen tester, we need to grasp the technique, the manual technique. Okay, so now we can use Msfvenom, and if you don't know which payload we should use, should be used. We can use the list and payloads and Java because, again, for the same reason, this utility Msfvenom can support many thousands, maybe thousands of payloads. So we need to use the grep to filter out the output. Okay. So I think this one is what I want. So we can copy Venom with P option and paste the clipboard, and we need to specify the local host, which is our Linux, and local port number 2555, and the type is a WAR file, and we can redirect or save to our file like JSON WAR. Press enter. It's done. So now we can go back to the browser to deploy this WAR file, and we can select and deploy. So as you can see, I think the JSON file has been uploaded or has been deployed successfully. Next, we just click this link, and we get the collection, right? So ID, we get the same shell as Metasploit framework. Okay, so I'd like to disconnect from the target because we have a better shell or a much more stable shell with SSH, since we have already cracked the password for this user. So now we can SSH vshell, and the port number is 42, and the password is hacker. It does work. Now we need to gather information on the target machine to make further lateral movement. So now we can get, also I think just now we forgot to find the flag. I think it should be, but anyway, we can use the directory enumeration to find that file, because that one is located in the this HTML directory, the flag. So this flag, we can cut out the first flag if you want. So now let's go back to the home directory. And also we can cut out its bash history. Nothing here. We can run sudo hacker, but this user may not run sudo on this machine. So next, I think we can upload linpeas shell script to do kinds of automatic enumeration. I've already got this script ready. So now we can upload this script to the target. We can set up a web server on the Linux, and then we can use wget linpeas, and we can make it executable. And now we can run this script. In most situations, when we try to make lateral movement or privilege escalation, we need to take advantage of this script. If the target machine is Linux, if the target machine is Windows, we need to use its counterpart, linpeas. Okay, you can get it from the GitHub. Okay. This script will conduct a very comprehensive enumeration on the target machine from various aspects, such as SUID bit, such as capabilities. Okay, it's done. Now let's scroll up. We need to look for the vectors which can help us mix lateral movement or privilege escalation. Let's scroll up. So the binaries with capabilities, SUID bit. I never use SGID to make lateral movement or privilege escalation. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know how to utilize the SGID. But this one is very important information sometimes. Private key of this user. User name information. The user ID is 1002. Active port number. Cronjob. We find this one every 1 minute. This user Hacksudo will execute this command. So now we can, I think we should try to manipulate this one, okay, to switch or make lateral movement to this user. So now we can go to the home, go to the Hacksudo home directory, and go to get manager, this one. So now we can use the file command to display its type. So this is 64-bit Linux executable. And let's check its permission. We do not, current user have permission to execute, but doesn't have permission to modify this one. So now I think we can, for example, we can use strings command to, or maybe we can run it first because current user has permission to run. So hi hacker, great job. Are you ready to get manager access? Why did you reckon your tasked access? So here I think is a hint left by the author. So you have 1 minute to figure out. I think this message is telling us we need to have a look at the task or jobs or cron jobs. But next I'd like to use strings to get readable characters from this binary. Strings not found. Alternatively, we can transfer this file to Linux. Linux has, for certain, has this strings command. Also, I'd like to check with ltrace command. Ltrace is available, so I don't think we need to transfer this get manager to our Linux. So we can use ltrace. Ltrace would be more powerful than strings. We can get manager. So now it's trying to set UID to 1000. And later we need to check which user use this ID. Okay? And I think this user ID belongs to Hacksudo. And this guy or this get manager is trying to run this one. We can copy and paste over here. So we'll set UID to 1000. Okay. So now we can, we need to take a look at, I think we need to check out which user use this user ID. Yes, this one. We are right. So now we can go to the home. We can go to the home, visual, and so which one? The manager, office, not manager. Go to office, and here's some I think this should be the executable, but we can get its source code. We can get out this source code, Hacksudo. So I think this binary is doing or run this shell script. And you know, this script current user have full permissions to this script. And so let me recap. Because every 1 minute, Hacksudo will run the job. And the job is, which one? Let me, we can use the, cron tab. So this user will run this binary every 1 minute. And also this get manager will try to execute, I think, this one. Okay, so Hacksudo, and this will execute this script, shell script, and the current user has permission to this shell script. So now I think I know what I should do next. We need to manipulate this shell script. For example, we can put some reverse command to this script. Okay, now I'd like to use Vim editor, Vim manage, and we can delete existing commands, deleting existing lines, and we can get reverse command from pentest monkey. We can copy and paste over here. We need to do some modifications. So we can use this IP address to replace this one. And also I'd like to use port number 66. So now I think it would better use this one. Now we can copy this line, paste over here, write and quit. No error. Great. So now we can, I think we can set up another listener on the Kali Linux waiting for collection. Of course, I think you can try different reverse commands. For example, like, like this one, also like Python. Whatever. I used this most. And if this doesn't work, I will try this one. And also the Python. Okay. Now we need to wait. Okay. We got another shell and we can run ID. And as you can see, this user belong to LXD group. But before we try to, of course, we can take advantage of the membership of LXD to elevate privilege. But before we try to that, I'd like to gather more information. After all, we need to select low-hung fruit. Okay, for example, we can run sudo. As you can see, even I think we can take this easier way. We do not need to, for example, as you know, if you want to exploit this membership, we need to download image from the GitHub and then upload, and then you need to do some configuration, import the image, something like that. A bit complicated. So I think it would be wiser for us to utilize this SCP command to elevate privilege. But how to do? We can go to this website, GTF Obins, and we can simply follow the instructions. We can copy, paste over here, and copy the second line, and next, and then last line, ID, we are successful. Now we are root user. So now we can navigate to root directory to grab the final flag. So I think, in this video, I've already gone through so many very useful techniques such as web immersion, use John the Ripper to crack hash, and also identify the type of hash. And also I utilize different approaches to exploit Tomcat Manager, Metasploit, and also the manual way. And also I demonstrated how to make lateral movement by, exploiting cronjob or task. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you next. Bye. Have a nice day, please.